Hello and welcome to Diego C. Palace. Yes, this is my recap. Just come off the beach, and this is my recap for the amazing. Look at this team there. Look at that team there. It is the Crystal Palace women. They are champions, Barclays champions of the Barclays Championship year 23-24. Hold on a minute. Yes, that's still tasting good. Real talk. Thank you very much for watching. Now, listen, if you're new to the channel, please hit a like, share, and subscribe at Diego C. Palace. If you want more content on the Crystal Palace women, check on the playlist at Diego C. Palace. Go and check it out. There's some more stuff there as well if you want. But back to today's business. Today, I want to introduce you, if you have not met The Spoon before, The Spoon goes back a long time. The very first time I appeared on YouTube, and the very first video that I did on my own channel as well. The Spoon, it's a bit sentimental. The Spoon thinks that it runs the show, but it doesn't know anything about football. Now, the reason why I'm doing this recap about, one minute, what? The Spoon has just said that the Manchester United women's team are going to whoop the Crystal Palace women in the WSL next season. Listen, Spoon. Listen, Spoon. This is not about you. This is about football, women's football. And let me tell you something, Spoon. Last season, I didn't see you at any of the fixtures of the Crystal Palace women, the Crystal Palace men, home and away fixtures. I didn't see you turn up for any of that. So shush up and just concentrate on being the microphone today. That's all you have to do. Shush up. Crystal Palace women. That team there you see there, they are ready. They are ready to face the Manchester United women's team. Bring it on. Bring it on, Manchester United women's fans, football fans. Bring it on, Manchester United fans. Bring it on. Damn, Spoon don't know anything. No, you don't know, Spoon. Anyway, right, back to the main business. Now, where was I? Yes, now, two vital appointments at Crystal Palace. Now, that were vital, crucial for the success for the Crystal Palace women to be successful in their campaign to become champions. The first person I want to mention, no particular order, is a lady called Grace Williams. Now, Grace Williams was appointed at Crystal Palace as the head of football at Crystal Palace. Now, what does that mean to me as a football fan when I go to home fixtures or away fixtures for watching the Crystal Palace women or the Crystal Palace men? I'll tell you what I encountered. During the Crystal Palace men fixtures, I encountered Grace Williams' staff, and the people there, encouraging Crystal Palace fans, informing them about the Crystal Palace women's fixtures down the road at the weekend or midweek, and going to some home and away fixtures for the Crystal Palace women. I steadily saw the numbers go up and up and up, and also saw the numbers, a record crowd for the first home match at Selhurst Park for a championship turnout, which happened to be the first time that Crystal Palace women played at Selhurst Park, which was late 2023, of course, in the same season. And that's all down to the work I expect from Grace Williams and her staff at Crystal Palace. And the other thing which I also sensed as a Crystal Palace fan was that she was up against opponents in other championship clubs, and from what I could read, they had a greater net spend. So my view is that I think that Grace Williams was able to work with financially with a cap. She couldn't go over. She was able to get more done with a lot less. Now, I guess in the world of football, you either can do that, you can either deliver, or you can't. Now, don't just listen or take my word for it. There's a reason why that team there delivered that trophy, which now sits, I expect, in the chairman's, Steve Parrish's office, the silverware. There is a reason why that trophy is there, and that's down because of the work and actions from Grace Williams, and of course of her staff at Crystal Palace. If you're a Crystal Palace fan out there, get out there and watch the Crystal Palace women when they're in the WSL. You won't regret it. Believe me, it's amazing. Now, the other individual that I think was important to be appointed at Crystal Palace before the beginning of the season was the Crystal Palace women's manager, which was, of course, Laura Kaminski. Now, Laura Kaminski appointment, I said it in my one of my very first Crystal Palace women uploads. If you go back, you can check. And as the season started and it started to progress, I'm not a professional in football when it comes to coaching or playing, no measure. But I'm a Crystal Palace fan and I love the football club. I've loved it since the late 80s, and I can sense things when something special is about to happen. And how do I get that sense? From watching the interaction between the players and how they interact on the pitch with the coaching staff as the season starts and as it progresses. You get a sense of something that's about special. And what I think Laura Kaminski was able to work with her squad of players, she had to, I expect, deal with players that were brought in new into the squad. There were players that were brought in new as loanees. There were players that were dealing with injuries from the previous season. There was players that were established. There were players that were young, trying to get game time in a championship. There were players that were established in the team itself already. There was players that were coming towards the end of the playing career and are still coming towards the end of the playing career at Crystal Palace. So it was important at the time of how Laura Kaminski put all that together, and then was not just able to manage that squad in depth that was available to her at the beginning of the season, but it's the mannerism, in my opinion, of her coaching with those players. How do I explain that? I'll give you an example. The first home match at Selhurst Park for the Crystal Palace women was against Southampton. It was late of 2023. Of course, in this same season that's just gone past, and we didn't win. And by the way, the player of the match, that match, the first ever Crystal Palace match played at Selhurst Park for Crystal Palace women. The player of the match that match was for me was a player called Hayley Nolan. She got an early knock in the first half, and for her to carry out the 90 minutes and extra time, and she didn't once complain. She just soldiered on, and she just kept on working with the captain. She's a defender, and she plays alongside Amy Everett, the Crystal Palace captain. They were absolutely amazing. The result didn't go their way, but they never gave up on the pitch. They left everything on that pitch. Hayley Nolan, for me, was the player of that match for me. Now, going back to what I was going on about, at the end of that match, because they lost that very first match ever at Selhurst Park for Crystal Palace women. Now, it was the very first match they played there, and it didn't come out result-wise. At the end of the match, the Crystal Palace women and the coaching staff went to the centre of the pitch, and they gathered together in the huddle. And for me, I think they were saying 5 things to each other. Of course, I couldn't see it, but I was trying to sense what was going on from the coaching staff, and they all got together there with their players. And I think 5 things were said. I think the first thing they said to each other was, "We know who we are." Number 2, they must have said to each other, "I expect we know what went wrong today." Number 3, I think they said to each other, "We know how we're going to put this right. We know how we're going to put this right in training." I think they said that to each other. Fourthly, I think they said to each other, "We're going to prove to these Crystal Palace fans that we're the real deal, that we mean business." And I think the fifth thing that they said to each other in that huddle at the end of that match, that difficult day for Laura Kaminski and the coaching staff and the players, what they said to each other there in that huddle, this is weird. This ain't over. We're going to land that championship, that Barclays Championship, Women's Championship trophy. We're going to land it, and it's going to be delivered to Tish Parrish's office, first class. It's going to land there. Real talk. We're going to make a point. This ain't over. And I think that is what I sensed. Even though the result didn't go the Crystal Palace women's way that day for Laura and their staff and their players. Now, how do I sense that? How did I think that's what happened in that huddle? I don't know, because I don't know anyone in the football club. I'm just a football fan. I don't know anybody in the club. But how did I sense that? And I'm going to give you some examples. During the season, I saw a match that I was away at the Crystal Palace women were playing at the Valley against Charlton. Very good side. But the officiating, in my opinion, during that match was just atrocious. The referee, the assistant referees, and that fourth official. Oh my days! I'm still fuming just thinking about that match. But I don't want to go into that. But my point is this: because inadequate decisions by officials during matches, it can change things, it can turn things, and it can, I think, inadvertently, it can cause injury to players. I'll give you an example. During that match, two things happened. One thing, Annabelle Blanchard was being stopped from creating her play, and the way they did that was just by fouling her. By the sixth time that she got fouled, and is now we're into the second half, I think it was sixth or seventh time, I counted them actually, I was so fuming. Annabelle Blanchard was just fouled constantly. She was on the pitch, slapping the pitch, saying, "Did not anybody see this? Ref, are you not watching this?" And at no point did Annabelle Blanchard want to stop fighting for her teammates, for fighting the cause to try and learn those 3 points, because they knew that they were better than the Charlton players. But the officiating was just absolutely atrocious, in my opinion. Now, the other thing that I saw during that match at the Valley was an amazing goal by a young player called Araya Dennis. She's now, of course, let go now, and I wish her all the best, because some players have been let go because they were loaned. But Araya Dennis, when she gets onto the pitch, one, she doesn't need to be told what the goal's at, and number two, their opponents, they know that someone's coming onto the pitch, and they're like, "Oh no, not Araya." I can sense, I can tell you, watch out for that young player. Her name is Araya Dennis, and she scored a goal that is just up there. It's just up there with the best. And I don't think it's a one-off. I don't believe it's a one-off. That's Araya Dennis. So watch out for that name in Araya Dennis. And it's because the ability of Laura Kaminski saying, "Go on then, get on that pitch and just show us what you can do." And she did so. What an amazing goal she scored. World class, world class. Now, there's another example I want to talk to you about as to why I think the commitment, the endeavour, the want, the need and desire from the Crystal Palace women to get the job done was, I'll give you an example. I was away at it was the Watford game. It was the Watford game, and Elisa Hughes. It was the first half. She went up. It was a corner, and the corner came in, and Elisa Hughes went up. I'm not sure if she got injured as she went up or as she came down. She got injured by the centre half that was marking her, the centre back that was marking, and she got hit in the face. And I saw it. I felt it, and I was like, I was behind the goal when I saw it, and I was like, ouch. You know, when you see something, you're like, oh my days, that's not good. That's painful. And I always say, when it's head injuries, you can't mess about. Real thing, man. Head injuries. And Elise Hughes was just putting her cheekbone back together, putting her face, seeing this like if it was still there. But she was doing it in a way, so she was putting her back towards Laura and the coaching staff. And I was thinking, why why is she doing? Why is she facing that way? She's just coincidentally, and so, and as she was running back towards to get back on side because the match carried on playing. I saw her. She was like holding her cheekbone, putting it back into position, but at the same time trying to hide it from Laura, who was on the touchline. And I was thinking, at least Laura Kaminski does not miss anything. When her players are on the pitch, she can see, she can sense, she knows what's going on. So, but I was thinking as a Crystal Palace fan, I said, oh no, please, we cannot have Elise Hughes been substituted. Please, I don't want to see it coming off. Elise Hughes' endeavour and wanting, need and desire to get the job done, even when she was putting the cheekbone back into place, hiding it away from her manager. Excuse me. It was just brilliant to see. What happened? Carried on. She scored. We got 3 points. It was a damp pitch. It was horrible playing conditions, but the Crystal Palace women and Elise Hughes did not complain. She just got on with the job. Hope you get well soon, Elise Hughes. Now, that's another example. Now, for me, players playing at levels and improving throughout the season, it has to come from what they do in training, which I've never seen because obviously we don't have access to their training sessions. But that's got to come from the coaching staff and Laura Kaminski. Now, a coach needs to be able to improve their abilities, whether they're young, established players coming towards the end of their careers, whatever stage of the careers that they're at. And in my opinion, from what I saw last season, Laura Kaminski, together with her coaching staff, were able to connect with all of the squad in depth and get them to understand their vision, what they wanted them to do in training, first and foremost, I expect. And then on match day, to deliver the goods. Not because I say so, not because I sensed it, not because I'm trying to tell you all that. There's a trophy in Steve Parish's, the chairman's office right now. There's silverware there right now. And that's down to Laura Kaminski and her coaching staff. I mean, no doubt. She has an ability to connect with the squad in depth of what's available in ways that other coaches and managers are not able to do that. If you want to know about that, make sure you come and support the Crystal Palace women in the WSL campaign. Believe me, trust me, you will not regret it. You will see how hard and how much work they put in on match day, and at no time do they give up. And at the end of the matches, you will see that, as I got here, some of the players they sign. Just bear in mind that at the end of the matches, if you go up to them and you want a selfie, or if you want them to sign the official stuff from Crystal Palace, be mindful. Please be patient, because they've just done a shift, probably 90 minutes plus. Not just that. Yes, I know they get a wage, but they are professionals, and they've not only just done a shift, they may have had a bad day at the office, and at the end, they always give time to the fans. They sign signatures on stuff like this. So big up to the Crystal Palace fan. Who have I got here, for example? Yeah, Anna Philby, I knew it. Philby, legend. I hope all the best for you, because she's been released now, because obviously she just left on, she was on loan. So it's be respectful, be mindful that they've just done a shift on the pitch, and they will give you time to give you a selfie or to sign an autograph. And at all times, they'll always give time to the Crystal Palace fans. Absolutely amazing, all these players there. So, recapping it, 2 individuals that I think were vital for the success for the Women's Championship, and that is Laura Kaminski, the Crystal Palace manager, coach, and also Grace Williams, the head of women's football at Crystal Palace, for, in my opinion as a fan, as I said earlier on, working with a limited budget, making sure that the net spend that she had to deal with, she got the job done. Together with Laura Kaminski, the trophy where it's at right now doesn't lie. Now, they're now into the WSL. Both Grace Williams and Laura Kaminski, all their staffs are now challenging for the pre-season into the WSL. They're going to be facing new challenges, new walls to break down, new obstacles to try and get over. And am I worried as a Crystal Palace fan? Do you know what? I'm not just saying that or saying this. No, I'm not worried. Because I think there are foundations there now at Crystal Palace women's side that will enable the new players that will have to be brought in the transfer window, new players that will come in as loanees or new players that may be bought. There'll be, I hope they don't let go of anyone, because I don't want them to let go of any of the Crystal Palace team that were successful. But okay, you know, what do I know? It's not my decision. But am I worried? No, because I think that they will put an action plan for the preseason as it starts, the preseason as it evolves, the preseason as it goes into the first fixture in the WSL campaign. There will be an action plan for that itself. There will be focused, and I think most of all, there won't be any complacency on the part from the staff that work with and for Grace Williams and the coaching staff that work with Laura Kaminski. I think there won't be any complacency there. They'll be focused. There'll be a want and need and desire again to get the job done. And why not? Why not? Why can't we do like the Leicester team, the Leicester men's team did the Leicesters, as that phrase is. Why can't we do it? Why not? It's all about trophies. Go for the top. Why not? And to remind the Spoon that never went to any Crystal Palace men or women's matches, the Crystal Palace women next season, when they are in the FA Cup, when they are in the League Cup, or whether they're in the WSL campaign, they know that they're going to give their opponents a good match. So, if there are any Manchester United women's football fans, if there are any Liverpool women's football fans, if there are any Arsenal women's football fans, I see your striker, your legendary striker, didn't get renewed contract. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying that your manager's got a little bit of smugness going about him. I want to keep this clean. For me, it just doesn't come across. Your manager at Arsenal, for the women's team, he just doesn't come across to me as a. I'm gonna keep it professional here. He just to me comes a bit smug, and I ain't got time for that. Just be professional all the time, mate. That's all I've got to say. Anyway, so Arsenal women's football fans, the Crystal Palace team, we're going to be ready for you. Real talk. And the Manchester City women's fans out there, the Tottenham Hotspur women's teams out there, I'm not going to mention all of them. We're going to be ready for all of you. So they'll know that they're going to get a match. And as we saw during the FA Cup tie, when Crystal Palace women faced the Chelsea women, they hosted us at their home ground there, and they know that when they face Crystal Palace women, and we had injuries that day, they know that they faced a really good team there. So good luck to the Crystal Palace women players in the pre-season. Good luck to Laura Kaminski. Good luck to Grace Williams. And if you're a Crystal Palace fan, go have nothing to do with the football club, but if you can, go to the official webpage, and you'll get all the correct information about how to go to Crystal Palace women matches, home and away. There's loads of information there. Their website is cpfc.co.uk, cpfc.co.uk/women, or just go into the webpage and then look on the tab for women, click on that, scroll down, and you can see all the interviews, you can see all the stuff for that. And if you haven't subscribed to Palace TV, go and check out. They've got loads of coverage there. I mean, no doubt, which I'm a little bit worried to say this, I mean, no doubt that football scouts that are looking into what's available at Crystal Palace women's in squad depth. They'll be looking at that Palace TV because they'll be able to see clips of players playing professionally there, of course. So yeah, we might have a bit of that. So there you go. Now, I think Crystal Palace women will do well in the WSL. I'm looking forward to what I hear as the pre-season gets to kick off, and I'm so looking forward for that first home match for the Crystal Palace women. I hope I can be able to afford and be able to be there to support Laura and her coaching staff, and I hope that you two will be there. Not because I say so, not because I want you to be there watching the Crystal Palace women, but I'll tell you something. What Laura Kaminski and what Grace Williams have delivered for Chief Parish in that office, there's a trophy. What they've delivered there, it's been done for a reason. Because they need you, Crystal Palace fans, to come and watch the Crystal Palace women play. Home and away fixtures. You'll see, you won't regret it. It's absolutely amazing. The way you can see the work, the emphasis, the intensity that they put in on match days. And those Crystal Palace women, regardless of the weather, regardless of the pitch conditions, that team there is a championship team. Oh, nearly spilt it. If you're new to the channel at Diego C. Palace, please hit a like, share and subscribe. Diego C. Palace, you can find me on Instagram as well. But of course, please subscribe and like in the YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching. And come on, Crystal Palace women, let's take the WSL on. Bring on the Manchester United women's fans. Bring on the Arsenal women's football fans. Bring on the Manchester City women's fans. Bring on those Liverpool women's fans. Who are you? Who are you? I tell you who you are. You're going to all be facing the best team in the world, the Crystal Palace women's team. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you up on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.